Hi all, I'm Peter Kahn. I'm a certified master baker with over 30 years of experience in the baking industry. I've done a lot of teaching. I really love to teach people and share my passion for baking and make it accessible to people. A lot of people are intimidated when they go to bake, and I like to show people that they can do it. You know, it's not that hard. You can bake great breads, pastries, cakes, pies at home in your own kitchen. So what I'm doing right now, I'm teaching some classes for Cozymeal, and this is going to be part of a series of prep videos that we're doing to help people get set up for those classes, the online classes for Cozymeal. And today we're going to do a class on sponge cakes.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. For those who don't know, I'm Josie. This is my dad, Peter, and we are going to be doing this series of prep videos for my dad's Cozymeal online baking classes. Today we're going to be doing a sponge cake prep. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the recipe and, you know, kind of what's difficult and what's easy and explain sponges?
This is a very simple sponge cake recipe. It's just whole eggs at room temperature. We're going to whip it up with sugar till it's very light and firm. It's going to take anywhere from about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on your mixer. And then we're going to fold in flour, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of baking powder. A lot of the classic sponge cakes, you have to heat your eggs with your sugar. One of the most well-known probably is the Genoise. It's a French sponge cake where you heat up your eggs and your sugar over a water bath or directly on a gas flame until it reaches about 120 to 140 degrees. You whip it up until it's very stiff, and you fold in your flour and you fold in some melted butter. It's not terribly hard to do, but it does take a little more skill, and you can end up deflating the cake if you're not careful. And this one's very simple. The main thing is whipping up your eggs fully. That's the one problem people have, is they just don't whip it long enough, and you end up with omelet, basically. So you've got to whip your eggs up really well. I'm using this little mixer here. It's a hand mixer. You can also use a stand mixer with a whisk attachment, like so. The stand mixer is typically a little faster. Usually takes about 10 minutes. With my handheld mixer, it's going to take closer to 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes. And so that's the hardest part, just making sure it should be very light, it should raise up a lot in volume, and it should get very pale in color, and get pretty thick, so when you pull up your beater, you'll see that it makes a little mark on the surface. And once the eggs are all fully whipped, we're going to fold in the flour. I just like to fold with my hand, with my open hand, both because it's a very efficient way to mix, and also you can feel with your hand, you can feel the flour, you can tell that there are no clumps in the batter, that it's nice and smooth, and so it's very easy to do. Then we're going to portion that into our pans and bake it off. It's very simple.
Basically no fail as long as you do the eggs right.
Alright, so we are getting started. The first thing we are doing is cutting our parchment paper to fit the bottom of our cake pans. Pretty easy. It's just more inexpensive to do it this way. So as you can see, he's stenciling the bottom of the cake pan, not the top, the bottom. And then he's going to be cutting them out. the next thing that we're doing is we are getting our eggs and our sugar ready, and then we are starting that really long mixing process that my dad was talking about. This took us in total about 15 minutes exactly to get the eggs and the sugar to where they needed to be. But that's exactly what we want. Patience is a key in baking. So as you see the way it starts out, it's very watery, and then as we continue to mix, it starts getting those ripples in the batter while you're mixing it. That's exactly what you're looking for. So next, my dad is directly sifting the flour into the batter, and he's using that technique that he talked about earlier with the spread fingers and the open hand, and just really incorporating all of the ingredients together. He's really able to get a feel for the batter and see if he needs to make any adjustments. And then the last part of this is just separating it into the two cake pans, getting it as even as possible into the two so they're the same size, spreading the top, and then baking them off in the oven. So now that he's baked off the sponge cakes, he is cutting them out just with a paring knife or a really skinny flat spatula, like a metal spatula, something like that. And he's just cutting them out, tapping them gently. If you have a little crumble on the side, don't worry. And then you see him again cutting it out on the other one. And there at the bottom, you see that parchment paper that we cut out earlier. So there you go. That's how you make a really basic sponge cake.